Ah, the fire burns low tonight, my friends. Soft and steady, like it's keeping secrets of its own. Funny thing about fire, it shows you just enough to keep you curious, but never the whole picture. Just a flicker, a glimpse, a shadow on the wall. We say we want the truth, we chase it, beg for it, claim we're ready for it. But truth, in the old Greek stories, is no gentle teacher. It is wild, it is sacred, it is dangerous. In those myths, wisdom and madness, they often walk hand in hand. So tonight I have three tales for you. Three souls who touched the truth. One saw too much. One saw what he shouldn't. One saw what had to be done. And all of them paid the price. Let's begin with the one who saw everything, and no one listened. Once, in the hills of Thebes, there lived a man named Tiresias, a prophet, a seer, a man who saw the will of the gods not with his eyes, but with something deeper. You see, Tiresias was blind. Some say the goddess Athena struck him sightless after he stumbled upon her bathing. Others say it was Hera, angry at a truth she didn't want to hear. Either way, his eyes were closed, and something else opened. But even before the blindness, his life had already blurred boundaries. As a young man, Tiresias once came across two snakes mating in the forest. He struck them with his staff and was instantly transformed into a woman. For 7 years, Tiresias lived that way. She loved, she lost. She bled with the moon and bore the weight of life differently. And then, once again, she came upon two snakes entwined. She struck them, and the gods changed her back. Later, when Zeus and Hera argued over who felt more pleasure in love, man or woman, they turned to the only mortal who had been both. Tiresias answered honestly. Women, Hera, furious, struck him blind. Zeus, in turn, gave him the gift of prophecy. Not a blessing, perhaps, but a kind of trade, sight for insight. And so Tiresias became an oracle. He warned kings, he spoke to gods. He even tried to save a man named Oedipus, a young king unknowingly married to his mother and doomed to kill his father. Tiresias saw the war ahead. He said, "You are the cause of the plague that afflicts your people. You are the answer to the riddle no one dares ask." But Oedipus would not hear it. He called the seer a liar, a madman, and so the truth unfolded, just as Tiresias said it would. Not all burdens are physical, my friends. Some are truths no one else is ready to carry. Tiresias was both man and woman, sighted and blind, mortal and oracle. He didn't just live between opposites. He was the in-between. And that's the curse, isn't it? To know what others deny, to speak what no one wants to hear, to watch the world walk off a cliff, while you're shouting at the edge. That's not madness, exactly. But it's close, because when you see clearly, you start to feel the weight of things. And the clearer the vision, the heavier it becomes. Now let's turn to another figure. Not a prophet, but a hunter. One who caught a glimpse of something sacred and was torn apart for it. In the same forest of Greece, there lived a man named Actaeon. Brave, skilled, proud, a hunter raised with the smell of pine and blood in his lungs. He believed in strength, precision, and instinct. One day, while out with his hounds, he wandered deeper than he ever had before. Through the trees, he heard water, laughter, a hush that didn't belong to men. He parted the branches and saw her, Artemis, goddess of the hunt, unclothed, wild and holy, bathing in a sacred spring, surrounded by her nymphs. Actaeon hadn't meant to spy, but he saw, and that was enough. Artemis turned. Her eyes met his. No words, no mercy. She transformed him. His hands became hooves. His voice shriveled into a gasp. Antlers pierced through his skull. He ran, stumbling in terror, and his own hounds, the ones he had raised from pups, tore him apart. He only looked. He didn't speak. He didn't touch. But some things, my friends, are not meant to be seen. Tiresias saw a goddess too, Athena, But he was blinded and gifted prophecy. Actaeon, he was silenced, shredded, forgotten. What's the difference? Maybe it was timing, maybe it was consent, maybe it was just fate spinning her thread in silence. But they both teach us this. Some knowledge is a mirror that cracks the moment you look into it. And once you see what cannot be unseen, you're never the same. But what if you know exactly what you're doing? What if you see the danger, the punishment, the divine boundary, and cross it anyway? Let's speak now of the Firebringer, the rebel, the Titan, Prometheus. From the myths of ancient Greece comes the Titan Prometheus. Not quite God, not quite mortal. Something older, wilder, wiser. He watched Zeus craft a world of order and saw mortals crawling through it like children in the dark, cold, afraid, blind to their own potential, and Prometheus pitied them. So he climbed to Olympus and stole fire from the gods. Not just flame, but symbol, knowledge, technology, creativity, the very spark that separates survival from civilization. He smuggled it in a fennel stalk and brought it down to earth, and with it, humans began to change. They cooked, they forged, they sang around firelight and told stories just like this one. For his crime, Zeus chained him to a mountain. Every day an eagle tore out his liver. Every night it grew back, and still he did not scream, he did not plead, because Prometheus knew. He had seen the world that could be, and he chose to suffer so it might come to pass. My friends, if this tale sounds familiar, it should. We've sat by this fire before and spoken of Coyote, the trickster of Native American myth. He too stole fire for his people. He too ran from the wrath of the powerful. He too paid a price. Different culture, different creature, same flame. Because this idea, it's older than language. Someone sees a world that could be and dares to bring it into being. Not for glory, not for gain, but for the simple, reckless love of others. Prometheus was not foolish because he didn't understand. He was foolish because he did, and still chose to act. That's a rarer kind of madness, the kind born not from confusion, but from clarity. He knew the gods would punish him. He knew Zeus wouldn't forgive. And yet he reached for the flame anyway, because somebody had to. Now tell me, what kind of mind does it take to walk into suffering with open eyes, to say, let the eagle come, let the mountain rise, let the pain last forever, so long as they don't have to live in the dark? That's not just defiance, that's devotion. That's a wisdom that burns itself alive for the hope that the others might build something better from the ashes. And you don't walk away from that unchanged. Not as the giver, not as the receiver, because fire always leaves a mark, even if you never touch it yourself. So perhaps the question isn't whether Prometheus was mad, but whether the rest of the gods were sane to withhold such a gift in the first place. And perhaps, just perhaps, that madness of his was the beginning of our humanity. Tiresias saw what others would not. Actaeon saw what he should not. Prometheus saw what had to be done. Each of them touched truth, touched wisdom, and each of them paid. Tiresias experienced wisdom without the power to put it to use. Actaeon suffered the consequences of gaining wisdom without permission. Prometheus took wisdom and took full responsibility for what it would cost. All of them, in one way or another, were called mad. But were they? Or did they simply see the world too clearly? Greek mythology does not reward knowledge. It tests it, it wounds it. It says, if you dare to know, be ready to bleed. And yet, these stories endured. Not the tales of those who turned away, but the ones who looked, who listened, who burned. Maybe the madness isn't a curse. Maybe it's the scar left behind by something too big to carry cleanly. Maybe truth changes you because it's supposed to. Because without it, you remain untouched, unshaken, unmoved. And what kind of life is that? So I'll leave you with this, my friends. If truth came knocking in the night, soft and terrible, would you open the door, even if it left you blind, alone? Or would you look away and stay warm in the dark? Something to think about. Now, who's got another log for the fire?